Hey everyone, welcome to Steele Wars. I am Steele Saunders and I do love Star Wars, particularly when reviewing this show. Welcome back to the Andor finale episode. We have got in the middle, and if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be very disappointed because he's lost his animation. His beautiful pink skeleton animation we used to have. But welcome back to the pod, Robbo.
Hi. It's great to be back, Steele.
And from the Star Wars Geek Girl, it's Zoe Hinton. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good.
How was Celebration in Japan, Zoe?
Oh, it was so much fun. I got to go to most of like the big panels and see all those announcements, and that was really cool. And all the cosplayers were phenomenal. Japan brings it to another level than I think we do here. And there was a guy with a tauntaun costume where it was like it was a guy riding the tauntaun, but it was just like it looked like a full size like real tauntaun that he was riding. It was like his legs were in the tauntaun. It was one of those things, but it looked like it was from the movie. It was so cool.
Really? Wait there. Yeah. I've heard my microphone is not working correctly, but I think it is. Do I sound weird?
I don't think so.
Oh no, it said my mic is sounding a bit echoey. This is not good. I don't like this at all. Oh, wait. Okay. Oh no, that's not. Oh, okay. How about now? Am I back?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I think I actually had another microphone on. Do I sound better now?
Yes.
Much better.
All right. Thank you. All right. You guys could have told me beforehand when we're having our big production meeting.
I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
All right. Well, I got Josh Chapman. He's in Australia doing sound tech for me. So I'm glad he's there. Oh. Hey, I didn't even think about how good the Japanese cosplay would be.
It was everyone's costumes looked amazing. It was really, really cool. And there's a lot of like Visions costumes.
Oh
too,
yeah.
Which there were some last celebration in Anaheim, but not like as many as there were here. And those were all really, really cool too. It was awesome.
And how'd the pod go?
Good. Yeah, we had a good crew in the room with us as well as on our live stream. It was really fun to talk growing up Star Wars and talk about some Star Wars news, what we're hoping to see in the future, and it was really fun. And I'm very grateful for everyone, just like we did, who raced from the Andor panel to come hang out.
Hey,
we were right after that.
Did you get sick of people at Star Wars Celebration Japan saying, "Where's Steele? God, I miss Steele."
Oh yeah, like literally every single person I talked to. Some people didn't say hi. They just said, "I wish Steele was here."
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, good. It was a lot, but it was true.
All right. Well, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Robbo, how's your Andor experience been?
It's been pretty good, Steele. I really been loving it. Sad it's over in a way. I was looking for scraps going through Rogue One last night, like a raccoon, trying to get my fix.
I did the I don't like corporations telling me what to do, but on I guess it would have been Wednesday morning by the time I finished, when I finished watching Andor, and the Disney Corporation said, "Hey, minion, how about you watch Andor?" I went, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a bash." And I watched like the first I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. And it was quite compelling. Although the trick is, because you sort of think like, oh yeah, we're going straight to what is that planet called that they
Cathay?
Cathay. Yeah. I thought, oh yeah, we're going straight there. We just flew off hyperspace. Bang, we're going to be there. But then we go back in time and see little Jyn Erso. So I need to edit that out or something because it.
I'll like make a cut. That's
Yeah.
great.
No, I'm not anti Jyn Erso, by the way, but
Mhm.
I'm pro. Just keep watching.
So where do you think we should put little Jyn Erso?
She goes down the well. It's all good.
Okay.
She's like a young Timmy O'Toole.
I get that reference. Is that good enough?
Zoe, get the reference or not get the reference?
No.
Well,
that's fine.
It's fine you don't get it, but just so you know, it's an excellent reference.
Okay.
Oh, Chapman in the chat, A+ reference. There you go.
I believe you. I believe all of you.
You sound like someone that would do exactly what the Disney Corporation says.
Me?
I will watch Andor
Probably.
Balbygor. I will watch it now.
Yeah.
How did you find the whole series, Zoe?
I really loved it. I think season 2, like I think my favorite run of episodes in the whole show is season 2, episodes 8 through 10. But I think as a whole, I think season 1 was a little stronger to me. But I loved the whole show, and the story of Cassian Rogue One was already like my favorite Star Wars film. And so getting to like delve into his story, and especially like because I'm someone who reads all the books and stuff, so like seeing how much his story, like I feel like you get a better understanding of his in Rogue One, like his empathy for Jyn after seeing his story and how similar in a lot of ways they are. And I really enjoyed that. I did I finished Andor like the night it came out, immediately watched Rogue One, and then immediately watched A New Hope. I was up very late that night.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I knew it.
yeah,
You
whole
really
marathon.
listen. You do whatever Bob Iger tells you to do, don't you?
Yeah. But it was it was a really cool run.
Just to on something that you hit about like seeing how Andor took to Jyn Erso, it sort of like makes like it's like a great happenstance that it sort of adds some weight to it. How about they call her little sister in it?
Oh, Baze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a lovely bit of happenstance.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I think it added so many, I think, like layers to cast and like watching, because I went right before season 1 came out, they re-released Rogue One in theaters for a little while. And I was maxing out my A-list for like 3 weeks straight. I saw it 9 times in theaters when they re-released. I think I actually paid for one ticket. I think it was about 10 times in theaters when they re-released it. But that was the last time I'd seen Rogue One. I hadn't seen it since I watched season 1. I was waiting to watch it again until after season 2 came out. And it's a movie I've seen many, many times, but it was such a shift on how I saw so much of it. Like with Cassian's character, after learning about who he is and what he's done and what's happened to him, it really, really changed the way I interpreted him versus how it was before. Because like Jyn is a character who, because she was the main character of Rogue One, there's so much like extracurricular like you can do on her character if she interests you. She's in the Catalyst book. She's born in the Catalyst book and she's a baby. And then there's a book, Rebel Rising, which is
great chapter. Great chapter, the birth of Jyn Erso.
Yes. But then there's in Rebel Rising, which it picks up right from when Saw picks her up in that flashback you're talking about, basically up to her getting arrested and being rescued in Rogue One. So it's like we have her whole life story in book form, but Cassian didn't have that at all until Andor. There's like a few like comics and things where he appears, but nothing like that. And so it was really cool to see that, like, for him, because I think as much as Jyn, I think, is more the protagonist of Rogue One, he's the co-protagonist, and that connection between the two is the heart of the movie. to me. And so getting to now feel like I have both halves of that heart, and it comes all together very nicely.
And now you understand why they didn't make out.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I was never a huge Jyn Cassian shipper. I know a lot of people were.
A Jinxian?
A Jinxian rebel captain is what they call it.
Oh, Reb Cap.
Rebel captain or Reb Cap. I was never, I mean, I was never against it. I don't know if I am against it still, but I never really saw them that way too much. So I was not let down.
When you say you're not against it, you sound like someone that would object at the wedding.
I object, and it's just piles of ashes.
Which I've, till this very day, I've been dying for a sweet objection at a wedding. But
yeah.
Alas, they all just go and end up being happy at the end of the day. Very disappointing.
I mean, like, you could always just volunteer, like, no, we're cool. Like when they ask the question, and then that would be entertaining, right? You wouldn't ruin anybody's wedding that way.
What about if you like half stood up and then went, nah?
Yeah, there you go.
Good one.
Actually, you know what? That was sorry, my bad. I was thinking of two different people, very different people. I just wandered in here, actually.
All right. What a weird skeleton we've encountered tonight. It does make like that end shot with Bix and how it like it corresponds with Cassian looking off to the, like it's very sad. Like it, you've just made me sadder, Gilroy. Come on, buddy. Lighten up. So you like season 1 better?
I think as a season of TV, it works better. And I think I think the year time skips worked in a lot of ways. But I think like the individual episodes were all amazing and the arcs were all amazing. But I think season 1 to me flows much better. And I feel like there's a very clear vision and start and end point and middle point for all these characters, where I think sometimes with the second season, I think the year time gap left, like, where you're kind of jumping in these characters' arcs and you're going in and out of these moments, but I think it's cool. But I think for me personally, I enjoyed season 1 just a little bit better.
I actually I like the jumps, and then listening to the little, like, the sewn in dialogue of like explaining where they're at now and stuff. Like I like you know, at the moment, this is very controversial, but you know, people like, don't pit Star Wars against other Star Wars. Like do you know what I mean? Have you seen this sentiment online?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah. But regardless of tone or the like, it's just so much better. Like, we all have to admit, like just the way it's crafted, from like the dialogue to the sets to the acting. It's just like, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but it's better. Discuss.
I don't really know where to start. I don't know. Like, I think what you're saying is that there's like a degree of care and perhaps like priority that this thing had that other shows aren't taking as much, I guess. Like there's something, it seems like this show was kind of allowed to blossom in a way that like the other ones weren't. Or is that what you mean?
No, like, not really what I mean, but it could be a product of that. But I've been listening this week because I was left with such a like, oh, that was just so brilliant. They've done a lot of interviews, and there's this one podcast. Oh, what is it called? Backstory Magazine. And they've got like a YouTube and stuff. And they did interviews with each one of the writers for the second season. They did two Tony Gilroy interviews. And just the thought they put into everything and the time and sorry, Jackie's just walked through the house with a conflicting podcast. So I think Mark Maron's chiming in on his thoughts on Andor, which I bet you Mark Maron would enjoy it actually. So I hope he checks it out. He actually interviewed Tony Gilroy for the first season, Mark Maron, and it was exceptional. But when I was listening to these Backstory Magazine, so check it out on YouTube. They spent so long on the scripts. Like they'd just go back and just spend a month working on dialogue and stuff. And it was like a writer's room where, one writer went and did the 3 episodes, then it came back to Tony Gilroy. And I'm not trying to pit Star Wars against other Star Wars. And there's different tones, and you can have it's all good. I love the Skeleton Crew. I love the first 2 series of Mandalorian. But I just don't think The Mandalorian season 3 could be subdued to 6 interviews by the same interviewer about the scripting. Like the whole Favreau thing of like, oh, I've already got season 4 done. I've done it already. And it's like, yeah, but who'd you show it to? Like, where's it's just that whole like, oh, gee shucks, we've got the toys in the toy box thing. It's like it worked for the first 2, and now it's just like it's gone off the rails. But anyway, that's my one thing. I just want to say it's just clearly better. It doesn't have to be your favorite. They don't have to have wars, but the quality is clearly better. I've said everything I need to say. How do you feel about that, Zoe? Or you want to distance yourself from such proclamations?
No, I mean, I think you're right about, in the sense of, I do think Andor is, for me, I think visually a much better show. I think it also occupies a very different space. Like, I think what makes Andor's, the dialogue and therefore the performances and the storyline so much, feel so like in such a different league is it's not meant to be as accessible as something like maybe, and thoughts on how they handle and juggle storylines. And you're talking about like the writing of it aside. Like, I think, like The Mandalorian and pretty much I would say all their Star Wars besides Andor would be like, it's meant to be very accessible for kids, right? Where I think Andor is a show that, I don't want to say forgot about the kids, but like that wasn't part of their goal, was touching them, and it was more reaching more towards that prestige drama audience. And so we're having this dialogue that's able to be really metaphorical and to not be so literal, and to like sneak around the truth and be all subtext. Where I think The Mandalorian wants the 9-year-old, wants the 7-year-old in the audience to be able to pick up on those things, and is a little bit more direct. So I think like on a very surface level, I think that's what gives Andor a perceived leg up. But I also think I think you're right about the writers. I think a writer's room would benefit a lot of the other Disney Plus shows. You're talking about how they're finishing these scripts in advance. I think a wide variety of people looking at these scripts and consulting on them and working on them. I think that was the strength of Rebels, was the writer's room, and not having just one person writing it. And that's it, you know. And I think that was the strength of the Clone Wars as well.
I love how you've just got to throw in, what about animation? Hey, how about that?
You invited me on here. You know what I am.
But how are you saying, like, you know, it's more, you know, like it's for 9-year-olds or whatever. But just things like, wouldn't a 9-year-old like to see, like, after everything went down at the end of season 3 in The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian, like, have some closure together in a conversation? Like, they have the big conversation, and then it's just like, it's, even though it could be for kids, it doesn't mean it has to be without thought. Like,
no, I agree with you on that. I think I was talking about like when you look at some, I think when you look at like the dialogue, I think I agree on the surface level, like that's what makes it so leagues above. I also think, you know, some of those other storytelling decisions, I think you're right. I think could be a lot stronger, and that's where kind of the writer's room falls into that. I think it can be limiting to have like just one perspective, because, you know, and I think a lot of times writers will, like, you know, they'll have the story in their brain, right? So maybe in the brain behind The Mandalorian, that closure happened and that existed, but they didn't put it to screen. Where I think, you know, a group of people would say, well, hey, what about this scene? Shouldn't we have this? Versus one person who forgets what's actually on the page compared to the whole tapestry that they have in their mind.
I in one of the of this Backstory Magazine podcast episodes, one of the writers says that one of the things that Tony Gilroy taught them, and this Gilroy guy, he's just a savant when you hear him talk. I'm just like, oh, that was like, Tony taught me that when you're dealing with a franchise, rather than play with all the toys, try to leave more toys at the end. And I was just like, oh, yes. Because, you know, Zoe, I can't stand Star Wars references anymore. I'm done. Save it for the Family Guy. I need new stuff in Star Wars. And I just, like, you know, saying like, I want, you know, Tony Gilroy to run it or do everything. I don't, but I do want that level of effort. And I feel like, yeah, I've got it covered. Yeah. All right. It's all good. Yeah. Like, yeah. How do you feel, Robbo?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I mean, that you remember my complaints about Ahsoka. Well, you might not, but they're not. The complaints the specific complaints aren't important. But what?
Actually, just because I'm like a horrible person, can you list some of your complaints about Ahsoka to Zoe for me?
I don't really. Do I have to? I'm not. I don't want to say like I'm not. I'm going to sound like I'm criticizing the characters, which I'm not. But yeah, I felt like, as somebody who had not watched all of Rebels, I knew who the characters were and I knew how they were related to each other. So I wasn't like lost, and I knew what had happened. I'd seen the finale and everything, which I thought was pretty good. But I didn't remember like what their relationships were like in detail. So I was kind of like, well, why is Sabine, like, they keep talking about this guy that you know, the villain, they keep talking about Thrawn, but they never explain why he's bad. And like they keep talking about Ezra, but they never explain like what's important about Ezra. Like why are they so like, you think there'd be like, you know, there was a time when me and Ezra did the something, right? And you get like a flashback or something, just to kind of like make me feel like I knew what everybody wanted. That was the kind of thing that I think you would get kind of hammered out of your script if you had like a active and healthy writer's room. But also you would get some of that individuality out of it too. Like I think that there is especially with how it looks. There's some stuff in Ahsoka that you're like, oh, this could only be the guy who does this, right? Like it looks, sometimes it's very stunning. I think that's something you only get because of that, kind of individual touch. So it's hard to say. I'm kind of just taking both sides here, Steele.
Excellent.
I don't disagree with you about that in Ahsoka. So
yeah, I just don't. I'm just tired of being the guy who antagonizes the youngins who like what they like, and that's not what I'm about.
Well, I think Mando season 3, Acolyte, and Ahsoka all suffer the same thing of having the useless secret. Like the thing that's like secret through the whole thing that's just like but like so much of the show is distilted. Like it's like in Ahsoka, it's like, why is Ahsoka and Sabine not talking? And in the Acolyte, it was like, what happened that night? And then in Mando season 3, it's like, what's Moff Gideon's plan? And it's foiled before you find out what it is. So you don't even have time to care. But anyway, should we move on to...
We've got such good things to talk about, Steele. Such happy things.
We do.
I mean, not happy. They're kind of depressing, but...
Well, to try and get us through it all, I did make a couple notes from like chronologically. Dedra going into that art gallery, like the double meaning of all the things they're saying, the bringing back of the Star Master 6000 or whatever that thing was.
Oh yeah, the mechanical chunk that Cassian steals in the beginning.
I don't know. It's like an old prop from Hellraiser or something, I think. But I just thought that conversation was just delectable.
Steele, you must be like a monologue guy. You really like these monologues, right? And these like, you know what I mean? Because you get a lot of that in Andor.
Yeah, I like a good scene,
a good stem winder.
I just you've got these like two awesome, well-developed characters, and then it's like you can't even you can't even fathom them coming together like that. Like it's like professional wrestling, right? It's people fake fighting, but the art to make like millions or billions of dollars, which are up for grabs, is to like put two of the characters in a situation like you can't even, like, the fan, they have to see what happens,
right?
Like
Batman v Superman, don't miss it.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
I mean, but that's the selling point, right? You're like, well, I want to see those two square off. Sure, I'll buy a ticket, right?
You've
that's
sent
why
me
they called it that.
You've sent me to Tangentsville, Robbo, because I remember Batman versus Superman walking out of the cinema and just like going, oh, thank God those people aren't involved in Star Wars. And then walking out of The Rise of Skywalker and just like going, oh, that guy from Batman versus Superman, he got me 10 years later. Oh! It was the same co-writer, Zoe.
Mm.
But anyway, what did you make of that scene, Zoe?
In the antique shop?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you're saying, like the double speak and the, this like kind of verbal battle happening between the two, and Luthen keeping the mask on, but showing the cracks. I think my favorite part is still when I mean, it's the easy favorite part, but it's when she sees the smoke in the back of the shop, and I think Denise Gow's performance, where like she's going from this very smug exterior, covering up this like very thinly veiling this righteous anger, and then she sees that smoke, and you get that look on her face of it crumbling. She turns around and he's stabbing himself, and it's such a performance there. So good.
Does she see the smoke or does she smell it? Or is that just the face she's making?
I think maybe she smelled it first, but she like turns and she sees it coming from the back room because there's that shot of the smoke.
That smells like someone just dumped a tub of like toxic phloem onto the onto a giant.
I think maybe she smelled it. Maybe she smelled it first, but I just remember that shot.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. That was just my impression. Yeah. It's like if you've ever, go ahead, Steele.
That's going to be debated now for decades. It's like it's the new Han shot first or who shot whatever. It's just like, did she smell or see? Are you a smeller or are you a seer? I'm a seer because I don't even think about smells in Star Wars because it's not one of the senses that are activated.
Not one of the ways you experience it.
I've never thought about smells in stuff. I could rewatch them all now and it's going to be a whole new experience because I'm like, oh, I wonder what the smell is going to be.
I think the 50th year anniversary re-release of A New Hope should include smell-o-vision. You smell
that oil bath is going to smell so
the oil
good.
Bath. Well, it was actually during the re-release of Revenge of the Sith. I saw it in 4DX. Where it seats move around and stuff, but they have smells in 4DX, and so when Anakin is burning on Mustafar,
please tell me
from the barbecue scent, like released from the whatever the scent things are in the 4DX. It was like a barbecue, like it smelled like barbecue.
That was George. When he's all burned up, I want him to smell kind of like a honey baked ham.
He needs to have he needs to have a plum glaze. I would think that you want to have like a burning hair smell, like when you singe a bit of your finger when you're like cooking or something.
I don't know like how many scents, because I imagine it's like when they release these movies in 4DX, someone has to go through and program all the things. I imagine there's a limited number of scents.
That's what I was thinking, is they dedicated one of their scent tubes to barbecue. What kind of movies are they showing at this place?
It was, I mean, anytime there's smoke or fire, it's a little barbecue kind of stuff.
No, but again, we're just tangenting off the Richter scale here. But what smell is more important than in Revenge of the Sith than what does Anakin, what does he smell like when he burns? Like that has to be like, what other smells are there?
Well, sometimes I think when they're on Alderaan, there's like a foresty smell, which doesn't make sense because Alderaan's mountains, but it was foresty. Oh, and Kashyyyk had a foresty like scent.
Ah, yeah, that's nice.
That's kind of cool, actually.
They didn't have a smell for Coruscant. Might be for the best.
The if they did it for Solo, when they're in the Falcon, it would have that new car smell.
Oh wait, the shower scene, the wet Wookiee smell.
Oh. How do you go knifing yourself in the tummy though? That's a.
He seems
you can't say Luthen's not a dedicated man. He was at it for a while.
I mean, the part they're not showing you is that like everything in there would be out on the floor if he had done that. You know what I mean? Like he would have disemboweled himself is like what he's doing, but it doesn't happen. So that is one heck of a knife.
Wow. Thanks for the insight, Robbo.
We get the smell-o-vision on that.
Yeah. Oh man, I just got lightheaded.
Well, it's not for 9-year-olds, so we get into the disembowelment.
Andor smell-o-vision.
Yeah, no, I'm very fragile. Like I remember watching that Nip Tuck show with Julian McMahon, and the first episode there's like a little that they show a bit of an operation. I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm out of this. There's no way I could watch this. I don't want to see innards at all.
I like them when they're in their place, because then I know that someone's on the job.
Okay.
But like if they're out everywhere, I don't want to see that at all, honestly.
And I say that as someone that was once a random surgeon on Grey's Anatomy. So there you go.
Do you think you
That
could
was
have
your
saved
role's
Luthen
title?
as random surgeon?
You were playing random surgeon number 1?
Yeah, pretty much. I had a name because you got a name badge, and so you're always like, but they're not like, it's not you on the thing.
Oh, because they just hand out those badges to the extras.
Yeah, well, if you looked closely, you'd see that like some other random surgeon next week's got the same badge as me.
Oh, continuity error, Steele.
Yeah, I know, right? But speaking of hospitals, what about Kayla in that hospital?
Zoe, what'd you think of that? I'm curious.
Make one woman seem like 3.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I said earlier, episodes 8 through 10 are my favorite run of the whole show. I think that says a lot how I feel about it. And I think it was a little, I don't want to say cliche, but a little cliche, like the cutting between the backstory and this. But it worked. It worked really well, and the relationship I was intrigued by in season 1, and I think with each episode of season 2, I got more and more interested in them, their dynamic. Especially episode 6, I believe it was, when they're leaving the party. And we, because it had been so tense before the 2 characters, and then episode 6 they're leaving the party, and they have that very like cute interaction. And so I was really all in on that dynamic, and I loved getting to see the history behind it. And that ending for them was just beautiful and haunting, and it again reminded me of Jyn and Clea and her, that very similar relationship she has with Luthen to what Jyn had for a long time with Saw.
Yeah, although this is like way more messed up. Like you don't see what Saw was like. I'm sure that was awful because, I mean,
see in the books.
Yeah. Oh, right. I haven't read Catalyst, but I've been meaning to.
And Rebel Rising, great book for those 2, for Jyn and Saw.
Okay, I might check that out. I am kind of curious. I remember the Rogue One novelization being great, especially the part where K2 dies. It's like one of my favorite chapters of any Star Wars book. Check it out, people. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I not sure what I can add to that hospital thing. It was awesome. I love that when they did the flashback, they went to Naboo. Because it's like I didn't really get it at first. Like, why are they messing with Naboo? What did they do to you? They've been through enough. But I mean, but then I was like, oh yeah, that's the Emperor's homeworld. So it's like significant. That was pretty cool. It definitely looked like Naboo. I'm glad that's what it ended up being. So I was going to feel like, how many of these planets are there?
There's Naboo. There's Paboo. There's I don't know, more letters.
There's Jakku, Tatooine. This is pretty funny. James Waterman says, saw a meme of a photo of a single photo of Kayla, and it said, "Name a better trio." That's pretty funny.
You like how it builds upon your joke, Steele?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. I was like, man, good assist. That was good.
Nice. Well, it's a melting pot of comedy around here.
To answer Jackson's question in the chat, Catalyst explains that book, or explains that relationship with Jyn and with Galen and Lyra and Saw.
That Catalyst book was so good.
Yeah.
So good. I do like in one of those Gilroy interviews, he said, like asked about whether, you thought about having Jyn Erso like in the end or just showing where she is. And he just goes, "Oh, I thought that'd be lame." And I was just like,
I do agree. I will say,
yes, it would be lame.
I will
Thank you.
say one caveat to that is jumping straight from End of Andor to Rogue One. One of the first things we see Cassian and Kafrene, like they build up to, but then they're also right at the same time, essentially, as Cassian and Kafrene is Melshi freeing Jyn, or Lyanna Halleck as she's going by. And so to make it, for me, like, not think of Andor as its own show, but as a prequel to Rogue One, just in this particular sense. I think it would have been, to make it flow a little bit better, it would have been maybe like mentioning like, oh, a Lyanna Halleck, with ties to Saw or something like that. I understand why they didn't do it. I don't necessarily think I wanted a Jyn appearance, but like some kind of, just to help the flow.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's also like, I think if we treat them all going in together is like, it's like, oh, where did this come from? Like, we're talking about all the stuff with Kafrene and Galen, and then they suddenly know, Lyanna and Jyn. That was the only thing. I don't think it was necessary, but it would have been nice.
Yeah, I think because I did watch the beginning of Rogue One, I didn't finish it, but I could still remember the end of Andor. So I was able to kind of put the pieces together, and like some things don't quite line up, but for the most part, I think what's implied is that they know Galen Erso, they know that name. That's like one of the words. I love how they do that, where it's like the final message is just like 5 or 6 words, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's it. That's the most important 5 or 6 words in the galaxy right now. You've got to get the word out and get people to believe you. And so anyway, I just want to throw that out there. I loved that part of the ending because it does, that part does sync very nicely with Rogue One when you watch the beginning of it, because you hear these words again, right? And you start seeing the pieces come together. And I think the implication is supposed to be that they knew about her from Saw. They knew that because they know that she's associated with them. So that's why they,
Saul hid that she was related to Galen. Like the reason he says it in Rogue One, the reason he left her in the bunker is because people were starting to find out. Exactly. And so it's like I said, it's not impossible to make that connection, but I like, it would have been.
You're right.
I understand why they didn't do it. And I don't think it was needed. It's not a knock on Andor, but like considering it as a whole tapestry, considering Andor was created as a prequel to Rogue One, I think that would have just meshed it.
I've kind of got Steele, have you tried watching like even the beginning of Rogue One since this, or I
watched it straight after.
Okay, that's right. So how did you feel about that kind of transition? Like, what did it feel like to you?
Well, I was tripping out because I never knew it was Melchi that saved Jyn, because I guess he never really stood out to me that much. And then like it was like a special edition. I was just like, oh, it's Melchi.
You gotta watch the whole thing and find him in Scarif. Went to Scarif too.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew he was like in the battle and like he was part of the group of rebels that come out and go, "We're with you," and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like I knew Melchi was, but like when Melchi appeared in season 1 of Andor, I didn't recognize him. But then I like saw a meme and I was like, "Oh, that's really sick. He's the other guy," because that's how Star Wars should work. Is that like if you don't get the connection, it still should make sense.
Andor was really good at that, I think, because you have not just Melchi, but you have Erskine Samaj played a pretty big role this season. And then we have, like in the last episode, we saw Pow, and we saw Timur Pamlo, and a bunch of.
So Pow's the little alien that was running, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes Caragast in Rogue One.
Got you.
Oh, he's the Shark Man. Or like the lizard
Yeah,
truck
he's a
man?
little guy, and he has a really, really long name, but like if you look him up, like his Wikipedia page is like 3 lines and just all the same name with a bunch of apostrophes. But they
Whoever's responsible for that, I'm proud of you.
I think that was Pablo Hidalgo
Yeah,
who
that's
made
good.
the full name. And then, but yeah, and so, and like I said, Tinra Pamlo, who was also in Bad Batch, and she always wears the same outfit. But she was there.
She's reached Mon Mothma status of wardrobe unanimity.
So yeah, I think I was thinking Andor did really, really well. Like as much as people say Andor didn't do cameos, it did. It just did them so well you didn't even see them unless you
but
are
it didn't.
insane.
It didn't rest on it.
Right. Well, that's what a cameo is.
BMO was practically a cameo in this season. Like it was like kind of remember
Well,
BMO? You won't be seeing him again. You know.
I'm a little bit at the end.
I mean, you only saw him a little bit in season 1 too. I'm just kind of joking. I would just like I like the droids best usually. So
I did love B2. I'm a little. I would love to see him meet K2, which I feel like probably can't really happen now. But I think that would be an interesting. I don't think they would get along.
No, they're very opposite. Look, it's like an extreme R2D2 and C3PO.
But they both love Cassian, so
yeah,
they have that connection.
K2 would be tipping that chump over and leaving him on whatever, like Edu or
I
something.
think K2 would pick him up and put him upside down so his little wheels are in the air and he can't do anything.
Like, yeah, okay, that's good.
Like a turtle.
That's
but the young Kayla character, just back to that, like the actress or the actor that played her was
Elizabeth Dulao.
just killed it. I loved all that.
This was her first role out of school. Did you read that?
No,
I was reading about her. Elizabeth Dulao. She graduated from acting school and got the
yeah,
this was like her first job.
Yeah, that's
graduating from acting school at like age 9.
No, that's the full size Kayla that was that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're talking about the little Clea. I was talking about Elizabeth Dulao. Oh,
yeah, no.
That's also impressive, by the way. I'm not like.
I think I've been pronouncing her name as Kayla? It's Claire.
You have, it's Clea.
Claire.
And I thought it was a bit, so I didn't say anything.
No. I just I don't know what. I think I misspelt it on my notes, and that's just affected me. I think I'm now pronouncing the misspelling. One thing I very much enjoyed was how, like, it's like the last, 2 episodes or whatever, 2 or 3 episodes, and they still like just slow it all down to have like these character scenes. And like that one with I think, was it in the I'm not sure if it was in the first or the second or the 10th or the 11th episode. I always just think of them as trilogies now. So the first or the second of the final 12, whatever. That gambling scene with K2, Melchi, and Andor it was just delicious.
It felt like they were. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I loved just they were getting their laughs in at K2's expense. They just love messing with this guy because they know there's like something not right about him, and that's how I interpreted that. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Zoe?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying I think these little characters, like, and it was throughout the show that we had these little character moments, and I think it, I'm someone who's very much always complain about how they don't make enough episodes of TV shows anymore. I always feel like we used to get 20 episodes a season. Now we get like 8 or less from some of these shows. And so I think Andor with that 12 is such a great number because it gave us the time to slow down and to have these little character moments that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it reminded me a little of MASH, which I'm not. Are you familiar with MASH, Zoe?
Yeah, through my dad.
I was going to say your dad did a great job.
Yeah.
But it was the army doctors in the Korean War, and
Yes.
and they'd play cards in their little tent, and you'd sort of see how they'd have a good time in between the death and the surgeries and all that sort of stuff.
A lot of lighthearted womanizing going on as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it does not age well at
well,
all.
I don't even mean on that. I just remember that was like the joke, is that like, yeah, they're all in the army and nobody cares, I guess. Sorry.
Wow. Wow, there's parallels to Andor in that as well, which is pretty off the chain. I enjoyed the entry of K2, but it sort of made me very happy that I liked him, but I think it was very good they added him right at the very end of the series, because he's very he's very like he can just chuck people around.
Yeah, he changes the stakes a lot. Like imagine if they had one of him on their side at Ferrex, like it would have been a different show. So as much as I love K2, I think holding off on him was the right choice.
It is kind of weird in Rogue One when you watch it and Jin drops one of those guys at like one shot.
Yeah.
And then he's
but also within Rogue One, then like, she drops him with one shot, but then later K2's getting lit up in the base in the same movie, and he's fine for a little bit. So
you can easily explain, just be like, well, they say they use the good armor for the genocide. That's the thing about this show, is that you kind of end up thinking about things like that, and it's weird. It is like probably about, this is the max amount of seriousness I want from Star Wars. I don't think I want them to go much further than this. That's fine.
It's yeah. It'd be hard for it to get at some points. It was the utmost seriousness. It was like,
yes, it was.
The original, like the original series was going to be like Cassian and K2 just like doing missions and stuff.
That's what Gilroy says. Is that the thing that the guys who did the Americans series were working on? Because this is the thing that I was surprised that they weren't doing. I thought this is what they were going to do, because that's what the Americans is like. Like it's like that kind of like spycraft kind of show. But I don't think they were there for very long. I think they left. So maybe that was what they were working on.
Really? Because I
don't know.
That doesn't seem like the Americans is top, like that is up there. It's like Andor on Earth.
It kind of is. I'll have some recommendations at the end if people want some other stuff that's kind of like this. I thought of a few things, but the Americans is one of them. It also deals with some very serious stuff, just fair warning, but like it is very good.
Zoe's dad Mike chimes in, and his like explanation of that, it's the type of blaster. He was disappointed with some of the Imperial blaster choices. So that is I can't stand explanations like that, but it's a pretty good one. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Jin was using a good old E11 in Rogue One in that scene. You can't get better than
that. Spoken like a trooper.
Yes.
Very suspicious.
With stuff like that, I'm just like,
yeah, I
mean, don't think about it. Like
in Rogue One, like in like 10 minutes later, I think Chirrut downs a TIE fighter with his like bow and arrow. So, I mean, it's a sliding scale of realism here.
One thing about just like the realism and stuff that I heard Tony Gilroy talk about was that it just got decided at the start of the series that because they're cutting between all these storylines and planets, that like night and day would always be the same. Like no matter, like if it's night on one planet, it's night on the next planet you go to.
Yeah, I don't know. I always assumed that's what you would do because you wouldn't want to confuse people.
Well, that's why I said, yeah.
Never.
I mean, but it is really intense location switching, and they really relied heavily on making sure that every area. I mean, they had some huge, like, major sets for each story that they were telling, right?
Major sets.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they have the advantage of getting to spend, 3 episodes on them. But like, man, like that Gorman set was just
I was surprised. I was like, I didn't realize until later that, they built that. I thought they found some like Eastern European strip mall or something and like filmed it there, which would have been awesome. Like they do stuff like that all the time, but it wasn't. I was like, man, they actually built that place and they built like little side streets. I mean, it shows. It looks really good.
Well, what about what was the town in season 1?
I don't know what the town is called, but on Ferrix.
Ferrix, yeah, or the planet. Sorry, planet's the town.
It's in Star Wars. The planet is a town. That's exactly how it works.
Like that set was massive. Which, like to its credit, the Obi-Wan Tatooine set was like it was like a theme park. Like you could go down hallways and laneways and go into the shop, and all the fruit would be like blue lemons or some, Star Wars fruit.
Where would Star Wars be without hallway shots, like space hallway shots? It's they rely on it. You have to have, like, Mandalorian made an entire episode out of 2 hallways, right?
Oh, on that ship?
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
Now, my one criticism of the whole deal, which props up here, which is not the fault of the show, but evil corporations. I couldn't help but think when they're coming down the hallway to the safe house from 11 into 12, imagine spending a week on that cliffhanger.
I mean, ideally, yeah, but honestly, I get kind of worn out with the weekly episode things because it's just like one more week where I can be spoiled on something, and I have anxiety over not being able to watch it fast enough already. So it's like when everybody's stuck going through 3 of them, it's like we're all in the same boat. That's how I feel.
I love the one a week. I am a little sad Andor was over in 4 weeks.
Wait,
I will admit.
Is Robbo being all garbled for you, or is it just me?
You sound fine.
I was going to say it's fine on my end, but of course my voice sounds fine to me.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, it must be. It's so weird. It's my connection. All right, weird.
Let me know if you need me to do something, Steele.
No, well, if it sounds fine for Zoe, that means by definition it's my fault, which is something I'm very don't like admitting.
James Waterman, you're in the chat. How do I sound? Dashing, I hope.
Dix is sleeping.
Yeah. Let's see. What was I going to like? What I kind of noticed about the show as it was going, and I think I only noticed this because it was broken into these like 3 episode chunks, is how like each story gets like more Star Wars-y as they go. Like if original Star Wars is maximum Star Wars, right? Rogue One is like, it ends up at about like 60% Star Wars, like the space opera type stuff. Maybe I'll use that, like 60% space opera. And like this show kind of ends at about like 30%. And here, like the introduction of K2, right? It kind of becomes a slightly different show. Right. When K2's there, you've got like the kind of standard like Star Wars sassy droid humor, right? That wasn't in the show before. So yeah. And like the Force healer working like in the Imperial, camp. It's got like some strong, like, have you heard the good news about the Force vibes? But it really,
Rebel
really
camp.
works.
Rebel camp. Yeah.
Sorry.
Force healers maybe my favorite bit. Love the Force healer.
It makes it feel more real because she's like, I don't know, usually it doesn't work, I'll be honest with you, but sometimes it does. And then the next person you meet, like after that, it gets a little bit more Star Warsy, where you got like the Kung Fu Donnie Yen's character. And like he's doing stuff that seems borderline magical. It's cool how it just like it gets, and the rules start to change as the show goes on, where they get more desperate. And there's kind of like a low point for Luthen and the Imperials, where they're both like, I think it's in the third trio of episodes, the third week of episodes, where like Luthen and the Imperials are both complaining about they're just like overloaded with information. They're spying on everybody and they have no idea what's going on. And like from that point, it just kind of, things start to get crazier and crazier, where you've got like Force healers and, not prophecies, but like, omens and things. You've got like Bix is clearly a believer at this point. And like, that seems to be like how she got off of like Space Smack. And it's like, she blows up that guy and then she like finds the Force, you know what I'm saying? And her life has like a different, like a sense of like continuity to be maintained. And that's why she like feels like she has to go. So like, cause she believes, like, that's the thing, is like, she believes the Force healer. It's like, I've got to get out of here or else Cassian's not going to do what he's got to do. That is like very intense faith, if you think about it.
It's exceptional. But I just had a thought. It's like, it's almost meta, like talking about the pending Rogue One film that's coming. It's just like I have to leave because I'm not in the next. I've just got to go. Otherwise, you won't be able to do what you've got to do because I'm not in the next film.
Bro, what if like the Force is like the director of the whole scene? It's like it's in control of the whole situation, man. But it does, like, that is kind of the idea of the Force, right? Like the Force does have some ability to influence events in ways that people don't necessarily notice until you've got the farm boy like blowing up the Death Star. But like, and imagine that, and imagine how that changes how Luke is, because we didn't know this about the Rebels before now. I don't think that there was like a religious element to them. Like it was kind of suggested that because they had, their commanders and stuff sign off like official briefings with "May the Force be with you," which is like, like if you were in the army now and it's like, all right, go with God, and it would be really strange, right? But then you imagine, how does Luke feel about this?
Because, no, but Uncle Owen says like he's a crazy. There's something. The word religion.
Old wizard.
That wizard just a crazy old man. I can conjure Uncle Owen.
No. Sorry, I got mixed up. The in the Death Star meeting room, they call it a religion.
Yeah. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion hasn't helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, right? That's the line.
Yeah, Han calls it an old religion too.
Pretty much. Yeah. 100%. Good call, Zoe.
The it's a fascinating experiment to have like I when Rogue One came out, I got my friend Callum, who had never seen Star Wars somehow, to go see Rogue One with me and then sort of tell me what's going on. It would be an even more fascinating thing is to get someone to watch Andor and then into Rogue One and then watch Star Wars. And then sort of like at the end of Rogue One, you see Darth Vader. And you're like, what? What's this? What's a lightsaber? And then in Star Wars, it's like it all gets explained to you.
Yeah, when they first met Darth Vader, he's living in the lava palace. You start out this journey with like Cassian shooting some rent-a-cops, and you end up with like Darth Vader in a lava palace. And that's the first time you've seen Darth Vader, and just like, wait, why is this guy why is he in the bath? Like, what's going on? It would be so confusing. But cool. Like it might be like, maybe it's the best way to watch Star Wars. Maybe that's the new machete order.
I will say, when I did my marathon when Rogue One the finale aired, it was my first time watching Rogue One straight into A New Hope, and a lot of people have done that. I'd never actually done that before, and I will say it did change the beginning of A New Hope a little bit for me, because when there's a sparks at the door and all those rebels are aiming their blasters, and then stormtroopers come through instead of Vader, I was like, those guys are probably so relieved.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers. And not Vader coming through again.
That is a great call. That is
like,
so
at least
funny.
one rebel's like, oh, thank God.
All right, stormtroopers. All right, this I can die from.
Imagine though, when you first saw A New Hope and they come through the door, but then it was like instead of the stormtroopers, it was Darth Vader doing all that stuff. Like, imagine that was like the first like scene in Star Wars. Just be like,
it kind of was, wasn't it? Almost like in the original, like the early drafts, don't they kind of still begin with the boarding thing? And it probably, because at that point he wasn't like holding back on his descriptions of things. Like he wasn't thinking about special effects or anything. So he'd just be like, Darth Vader unleashes like a micro orb of like power that shoots lasers at all the, it's like, it's like that. Like, but yeah, that would be so different, wouldn't it? Better? Worse? I mean, to me, worse, but
yeah. Well, it's like, have you ever seen like they do like a modern version, like it's some CGI, or I don't know if it's AI or what, but it's like Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fighting like, the Death Star lightsaber fight, but it's all like they're doing crazy moves and stuff like that. Have you seen that? It's
I've seen that. Zoe, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
Like it's fascinating to watch, but it's a crime against nature at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool that people like took the effort to like learn how to do stuff and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, like I think it's funny to watch. Like it's like interesting to watch, but like don't ever change it, bro.
Hey, you don't have to tell me. What did you guys think of the what was it? What the council scene where they're all, it's like you've got the other Bail Organa, and you were mentioning one of these characters, right? She always wears the same clothes.
Oh, Tinra Pemlo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Senator, his name's like Gaz or something.
Oh, those two are intergalactic vibe checkers.
I do think it might be one of my new favorite scenes, just in general, is just because it made me laugh, was Mon Mothma trying to help Saw, trying to help him and say like, hey, like they're, the Empire's coming for you. They know you're on Jeddah. Like, we know you're on Jeddah. We're gonna get. And so I was like, you don't know where I am. I could be anywhere. And it just cracked me up because he was on Jeddah. He was taking that call on Jeddah.
I mean,
he wasn't even responding. Like, they're trying to say like there's a Star Destroyer coming, and he's not even responding to that. And he's just like, you don't know where I am. I could be anywhere. You have no idea.
It was quite obvious he hadn't been on the Ball Gullet that day.
Yeah.
Man, it's just that is my one regret is that we didn't get just like at least a mention of Borgullet. Just like send him past Borgullet, and then we'll like
No,
check
I
his
hate
papers or
Borgullet.
something. He's
I
like a
hate
little bit less
Borgullet.
extreme, but he's still relying on Borgullet. It's like have
No.
Borgullet take a look at this kid, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do next. I loved that they were like, because you were, if you only saw Rogue One, and
Yeah,
which
I can tell you if Andor was made in California, there would have been a Borgullet reference towards the end. But that's just
Borgullet. I hate Borgullet.
I had to get that in.
you guys
Continue,
got like a
Robbo.
Borgullet problem in California. You just moved there. I mean, did you know about the Borgullets before you made the trip?
I think the Borgullet probably at Pinewood, actually. I don't know if it's here.
Oh, no. I just mean if it was made by Filoni and Favreau. They had you gotta have a reference.
I just want Borgullet to be a normal member of the crew. Like he's not like a monster they keep chained up to like torment pilots. He's just one of the weirder looking aliens, but he's a normal member of Saw's team of crazy pirate guys. I loved what they did with Saw Gerrera in this.
Yeah, he can make people tell the truth, but he's also like a pretty good pilot. Like don't pigeonhole.
Like Borgullet. Yeah.
Don't pigeonhole the Borgullet.
Maybe
but you gotta be careful. He counts cards. You gotta be careful.
Oh.
That's why you can't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
But also the mind reading tentacles.
Yeah.
I loved how like you're kind of wondering what Saw Gerrera's deal is in Rogue One. Like what is this guy's issue? Like, is that oxygen, or it's like, no, those are his drugs, and he takes them because they're his drugs, which was an interesting call. Like I loved how Rogue One now seems like Saw Gerrera or Forrest Whitaker in like a relatively lucid moment compared to the way he's acting earlier in Andor. And I love that they just like, no, his thing is that he really is just regular ass crazy, just plain nuts. That's his thing. Like he's already there. You thought that he ended up there. No, like sometime between whatever video game he was in and now, like he just lost his damn mind. And it is really, really interesting because it like gives you an idea of why everybody's so kind of scared of him in Rogue One.
Well, the drugs are good when you start referring to them as your sister. That's like whatever. That's hitting just right.
Why that's Melshi who's there, right?
What do you mean?
In that scene, is that who's the
Wilman?
Wilman, not Melshi. Wilman. That why does he take off the breath mask? Is it because he thinks like Saw won't let him leave until he gets high with him? Like what is it? What's going on?
Why does he do it? Really hyped up. I think Saw had him hyped.
I saw his tripping balls and he's talking nonsense. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't take off your mask. Look at him.
Yeah, I would say that might have been the most confused I was. Like that whole, like I didn't, I guess, I've got a criticism. Like at the time, I didn't really get what they were doing.
Well, they were stealing fuel.
I think it is just to get Saw high. He's getting his, like they don't ever explain, unless I'm wrong, what they need the Rhydonium for. Why Luthen sends one of his valuable operatives to help Luthen score this,
I think they say it's like ship fuel. Like I think that's what it's supposed to be. But I think Saw also likes it for other reasons.
Because he's not like unhooking the entire hose. He's just like loosening it so he can get a little puff. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's what that contraption was for, to like then be able to put in a hose to steal it. Yeah. But we didn't see that. I think they were just.
So why does the Empire have this like incredibly complicated, like nuclear submarine style, like crypto locking engine to access the fuel? Isn't that like, do they need like specially trained dudes just to open up their fuel cans?
I mean, maybe it's like it's locked so that, like I'm sure like I don't know. I guess like my assumption is like the Empire has a way to like lock it and keep it from being like siphoned off like they're trying to do. and then to get around the siphoning, you have to do all this fancy stuff. But like a normal empire can like if they had like the right code or whatever, can bypass that. Like it does.
But he had to like
that
go
was
to
what
like.
I have reading of what that thing was.
But doesn't he say like he had to learn it from the Empire? Like his dad did it, and then he learned from his dad. But look, there is stuff in Andor season 2 that was clearly cut out, and like there was going to be probably more to deal with some of this stuff, but I did feel like that was kind of a dangling thread. And the reason why it feels so weird compared to like the normal Star Wars nonsense is that usually you get like more of those scenes, to be honest. You're kind of like, wait, why did they do that? Because normally Star Wars moves like way faster than Andor does. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although when you think about it, a lot happens in like a week.
Yeah, that's what Rogue One feels like. It's like, this is the worst week of this man's life.
No, but like when you've got you've got the last 3, or it's probably more than a week, but the last 3 episodes of Andor, then you've got Rogue One, then you've got Star Wars. Like that's a big fortnight in galactic goings on.
That's the Force exerting its presence on the galaxy, Steele. It's all
Bloody
getting weird because the Force is getting involved. I mean, what do you people out there think in the chat? Am I crazy, or is this is there something to this? Because it does seem like the Force, like making things happen, is the most space opera thing, and it's like as we get closer to the big space opera, I don't know. I just think that's a cool way of looking at it, because otherwise it does look kind of weird because the rules do change. Like once Jyn shows up, she's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And like when she gives the speech, like she gives a couple speeches, like she gives, but she gives like the big motivational speech before they go to Scarif. And it's like Cassian's just standing there and he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like you just got busted out of jail a couple times, but like I've been through some stuff. All right. Like, let me have the speech. You don't even know these people. Me and that guy mess with a droid when we play cards. We've done this for years.
But that's the thing, like when they announced the show and when they announced like 12 shows at once, and a lot of people like, oh, why do you need a Cassian Andor show? And then some people now are like going, well, this is like, you naysayers. It's like, yeah, but like when they announced it, they didn't also say, oh, hey, we're also going to make this one the best one ever. And at the time of they announced it, it probably wasn't. It was probably the buddy cop version.
I mean, my initial reaction, I don't know what Zoe, I think you said you were looking forward to this, right? Because you really liked Rogue One. You said it was your favorite one, right? That was your favorite Star Wars?
Yes.
So what did you think when they announced it? Is this what you actually thought you were going to get?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. I thought it was going to be more along the lines of the K2 Cassian buddy cop. And I was excited for that. I love those 2 characters and their relationship from the film. I'm glad it wasn't that. I much prefer what we did end up getting. But it was, it's so dramatically different. In a way, I think even the trailers and stuff didn't really, give off. Like, like I think like that clip they showed at the Rogue One re-release, they like started each showing with a clip from Andor, the clip of Luthen and Cassian in the warehouse with all the chains, with like a little clip of that. And even that clip, like you could tell there's something different about this, but I think the degree to how different it was from other Star Wars, I don't think that was conveyed, at least to me. Maybe it was conveyed, and maybe I just didn't see it because I wasn't ready for it. I didn't expect it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect the guy who sounds like RFK Jr. to do like speak for like 2 minutes straight. I did not see that coming at all. That never happens in Star Wars, like a 2-minute speech or something. It's crazy, but cool, but good, right?
But yeah, and I was already excited for it, and then it just blew me away. It's phenomenal.
I was like, oh, not Back in Time again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we'll see.
I think it works though.
Oh no! Like the way they did it is like there's none better. But
If they do it right, Steele, it's the
yeah, well, that's the key. And then Star Wars will be back. Two of the best sayings ever. But yeah, if it was like the buddy cop thing, and then it's just like, yeah, I'm just sick of going back in a character's progression. Like I want to not know.
Yeah, I feel like also I think the thing, and I think Andrew does it really well, is the thing with like a prequel is like you're inherently making a story about fate when you make a prequel, especially for a character that dies. And I think Andor understood that really well, and I think really leaned into that in season 2 with with the Force healer. And I think one of my favorite moments in the finale is that moment of Cassian kind of seeing the Force healer and her seeing him.
Oh,
and like that moment, where it's, because we know as a viewer on the meta level, he is stepping now into Rogue One and to his death, and he's starting that death march. And I think Andor playing into that versus maybe being like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen when we do. I think works well. I think that's to me why I'm missing one, because I just saw Revenge of the Sith. I think Revenge of the Sith works so well as a prequel because it's leaning into like this idea of fate, both in the sense of impending doom, but also in the sense of impending hope with that ending of Luke on Tatooine.
Yeah, like this has to get worse before it gets better. Like we're going to show you how bad it gets. That's real. I love that what you said about if you're making a story a prequel, you're telling a story about fate.
Mhm.
That is you just blew my mind. That was good.
Thank you. But I think that's something like, and I don't want to pick a fight with Steele, but don't get mad at me. But I think that is a strength Andor has over Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought it was a really great show. But I don't feel like the story of, to me, the story of Obi-Wan in that show, while it was a really great show, and I think it worked really well with the prequels, I don't know if I felt like it was leading into a new hope and creating a story about fate in the way that I enjoy about Andor. And I don't think Obi-Wan set out to do that, so that's not necessarily a critique of Obi-Wan. It's personal preference for me, I guess. But I love fate. I love impending doom. It's fascinating to me. And so I love the way, like you're talking about how the Force, and like the Force, when it steps in, everything happens. And I think Andor did that so beautifully.
Yeah, well said.
That look to the Force healer.
Does he give her the bro nod? Does he do that?
Yeah, he gives a nod.
Yeah, gives the bro nod. Yeah,
I don't know.
Only Diego Luna is allowed to do that.
Why is it the bro nod? Like that's that to me was the nod of, I grew up in a small town, and that's the nod that you give someone that you're like walking past, that you don't know their name, but you just know of.
It's the kind of thing, if you do it a lot, it means nothing. But if you do it just once in a while, I guess it means a lot. So when Cassian Andor does it, I'm like, all right.
Special.
He's like, he's because like then when he gets to Jeddah, like 20 minutes later or something, it's like, he's like, what, somebody, a healer, a Jedi? He's like, and then he's like, he's asking questions about it. Like he's on his journey, man. It all ends. But the thing is, like, it all does, like, I feel like all the major speeches in Rogue One were written by Tony Gilroy. Is that correct, Steele? Do you know?
Well, pretty much. Like he rewrites everything. Like everything he goes over. Not so much rewrites, but he like goes through it.
He definitely, I think he's the one writing every single monologue that's in Star
I know
Wars.
basically everything with Saul was him. Also, like pretty much everything Saul was reshoots, because when he's bald, when he first picks up Jin, that was going to be the look the whole movie. Anything Saul with hair is I learned this recently. Anytime Saul has hair, that's a later, like after post Gilroy rewrites addition to the film.
that is one of those Star Wars trivia things that I'm just like, please let me forget that. I do not want to be looking at the back of his head to work out what's like. It's just
But
keep me out of it.
it's crazy how different people talk about Rogue One now. Like all three of us, this is one way in which we're all contemporaries. Is we remember when Rogue One was like hadn't come out yet, and like you were just getting like, you know, images from like trading cards and stuff and like boxes and Legos, and you're hearing about all this chaos behind the scenes and like switching directors, and we've got like we shoehorned some like, you know, Chinese superstars in here, which will surely make Star Wars, you know, break Star Wars in Asia or China and all this stuff. And it just sounds like this is going to be such a catastrophe, just like pandemonium. And it ended up being like, I remember feeling like, well, that was a little bit like ramshackle, but it had a good feeling to it. And it does end on like, you know, this note that does feel good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like people feel differently about it now. And I wonder if it's just like, oh yeah, we don't like what came after that, and therefore this is the high water mark. But or is it just that this appealed to the maximum number of Star Wars fans possible? I don't know. Like, but it is. I mean, do you disagree with me, or I can't tell? Like, what do you guys think out there? Like, does it seem to you like people like Rogue One more now than they did when it was new?
I think because it doesn't touch on the Jedi and like Luke Skywalker and all that, that it's just like it's more palatable because it doesn't turn people off. Like it's got like for people that didn't like what happened, like this one, it's because it doesn't mess with
Right, yeah.
the like, you know, Han, Luke, and Leia, that they're sort of just like they're just judging it on its merits sort of more, or even like liking it more out of begrudging appreciation that it didn't ruin their childhood or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to get it. I don't want to bring all that negativity up, but I do think it's like, I guess what I was trying to say is I think that's a good sign that like people will recognize the good parts of something eventually. And like even things that kind of arrived at maybe the wrong time might be appreciated more later on. So, you know,
I tell you, what won't be appreciated more later on, and that's Rogue One's Tarkin. God, he looked rough when I watched him the other night. I was like, like I remember seeing it at the cinema and just like going, "Oh my God, that's incredible!"
It works on me only when I'm at the cinema. I don't notice that stuff, but when I'm watching at home, yeah, it definitely looks weird. But I remember when I was there, I was just like, I'm surprised they held on his face so long. There's probably but there's like a Steele Wars classic episode of me talking about this like days after I saw the movie. But anyway, we don't have to talk about Rogue One, but but Rogue One ends with them smashing that Star Destroyer into the other one. And it's so cool. And it's like the Force, man, it's back. Just throwing it out there.
The smashing was dope, I do have to say.
It's pretty cool.
But speaking of Rogue One, I was very pleasantly surprised, as much as I hated seeing the senators because they just like annoy me so much. But Radis coming back, Steve Stanton.
Radis.
I got to apologize to that guy if I ever talk to him again. Because I made him say something. And I know voice actors hate doing that. But damn, that goes good. Radis. You got some jowl into it.
What else have I got here? Oh, I love the line Mon gives to Bale where she's like, it makes the Senate look easy. That accent was terrible, but it was a ripping line. It was very very gritty.
I really like seeing casual Mon. Like I think she's been so like she's a character that throughout basically the entire show up to leaving the Senate, like even in her own home, couldn't let her guard down. Like she always had to be protected with these like fancy dresses and in this very cool demeanor. And so it
I
was really cool to see her like in comfy clothes, chilling with her cousin, getting breakfast. I loved that. That was
you,
so cool.
yeah, you could tell those are her comfy clothes because she's still wearing them in Return of the Jedi, right? Like it's like, no, I found my look. This is comfy. I never thought like Mon Mothma's been a part of like Star Wars like expanded universe stuff for a long time. Like there was a lot more of her in the books than you'd ever get in the movies. I am shocked at how much like I am invested in Mon Mothma of all characters. I would, if somebody could have told like 7-year-old Robbo, like in the future, you're going to be like losing your hair. And also you're going to be really thinking seriously about like Mon Mothma's career and what it all means. And I probably wouldn't even known who Mon Mothma was.
Oh, well, think about it. You know, she's out there, you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information. And it's like, that lady once got like shit-faced at her daughter's arranged wedding while her childhood friend got assassinated. Like, that's like, you never would have guessed it. Like,
yeah, she just had like, yeah.
No, but do you think like a million Star Wars theorists for a million years at a million typewriters with a million monkeys? Oh no, it's meant to be infinite, not millions. Could they have come up with that theory about Mon Mothma?
No, because they don't come up with stories, they come up with theories. That's the problem. That's the problem. Is it's a theory is not a story. What it is it's like glue to stick two things together that weren't intended to be together. Like I don't know. What do you think, Zoe? Like, you may have a very different opinion about all of this.
Yeah,
like,
I think theories can be fun, but like we all lived through the sequel trilogy. We saw what happened to everyone's theories, you know, because I think
some of mine were right. Some of mine were right.
They sold a lot of t-shirts. Yeah. They sold a lot of t-shirts and the confetti's coming down.
I think sometimes like and it can be fun. Like you know, it's fun to like go through, try to find all the little hints and, you know, create like a theory. But I think you're right. Their theories are not stories, and stories don't work that way. You know, a story doesn't necessarily like hold itself to, you know, little hints or Easter eggs, or it shouldn't hold itself to little hints and Easter eggs throughout. And you can have that. You can have foreshadowing. You can have these connections. But ultimately, a story needs to say something and do something, and that's where where Tony Gilroy is coming from. You know, he's saying things about.
He certainly says a lot. Yeah,
he says a lot. You know, but he's not combing through every Mon Mothma appearance and being like, all right, what's my theory for why she cares about the Bothans and how do I explain that? And like, that's not what he's doing. He's he's taking these parts of the character, like, okay, she is a character who values sacrifice and doesn't maybe revel in death, and then incorporates that into the story of what he wants to say.
I bet you're right. I bet he did just go like, okay, so what's the most famous thing that Mon Mothma says? And it is, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Yeah, that's
and she says it with so much gravity that it doesn't matter that you don't know what Bothans are or even what they look like, because who does in this crazy world of ours? But it sounds like it means something when she says it, and you're like, what kind of person? What put all that weight and sadness into her voice? And like, now you know she was an arranged marriage to this like real shitheel, and and her daughter disowned her, and then her best friend was murdered because Stellan Skarsgård, the guy had seen his face or something. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot going on with Mon Mothma, and that's good.
I think if you want more Mon Mothma, you should read Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear. Great book.
Who wrote that one? Wait,
Alexander Freed wrote it. It just came out like literally 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Great book. Cool. It's about Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Saw Gerrera, like the same like month that the Empire took over.
Oh,
Like
I
it's
thought you were going to say
yeah.
road trip next, because I was like, that
No,
I would
that would
read in a
be really
heartbeat.
cool. That would be really cool, but it's not that. But it's really, really cool. It's a great book. And it's going to be a trilogy. It's a Reign of the Empire trilogy. The first one is The Mask of Fear, referencing Nemik's manifesto. He says oppression is a mask of fear.
Oh,
That's really cool.
Great book.
So there's a lot of stuff I'm probably missing, and Steele is missing, right, from some of this, because if Nemik's manifesto is showing up in other places.
I mean, Nemik's manifesto isn't in that book because the book takes place probably before he was, or he's probably still like a kid. But the title is a reference to the manifesto. But
it is crazy that Star Wars is like, we need a space Leon Trotsky. And it is so cool that they can do that, and like it's out there. Like if you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Man, I totally do not understand that reference. Am I that uncultured, Robbo?
No, Zoe, you laughed, right?
No, I mean,
he was like
cultured. It's like it's historical. Like maybe you're not terribly interested in Russian history. And
I mean, it's not our fault if you're not, Steele.
Oh, wait, it's a Seinfeld reference. He's the one that says, is he the one that that Elaine says war, why is it good for? Or like,
oh, that was Tolstoy.
Oh, damn
it. Or Dostoevsky, whatever. Like, who wrote War and Peace? Who wrote War and Peace, Zoe? Your brain still works.
Wasn't that? Oh gosh, wasn't that Dostoevsky? Actually, I haven't read War and
Peace. I don't know.
I
don't remember. I didn't read
it. Look it up.
It's huge.
George Lucas wrote Star Wars and Peace.
He did.
I wonder what
War
Uncle George thinks about Andor.
No, by Tolstoy. You were right the first time.
Look, if I doubted myself, I was not right. I was guessing.
Anyway,
yeah.
It's Val, yeah? The cousin?
Yeah.
Oh, she's so good.
No, sorry, I love her.
She has my favorite speech. I was just like, I wish we all wish we could be like that when we really needed to be, right? Like you just need to really tear someone down, like righteously.
Oh,
so good. It hurt like, so bad. Like,
when her girlfriend got shot. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. He's just like,
yeah, that was brutal. But I did love her as a character. How Mon Mothma's like, oh, go spy on Cassian. And she just walks in and goes, so, hey, they've sent me to find out about this thing. So can you tell us? Like, how about it? I just thought that was really cool. And I love their little toast to Luthen, how they'd both sort of been put through the ringer with him, and they were just like, at the end of the day, Luthen.
Magnificent bastard, Luthen Rail. He just took his name, his real name is Lear, and he just spelled it backwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, man, the guy clearly learned a lot on the job, because he seems way better than that later on. Like, that's how good the show is at making you feel like paranoid. Because when I watched Rogue One again, I was like, what are you doing? Don't let her keep the gun. Are you crazy? I was like in K2's corner. It's like, you don't know who this is. Like, you can't just let her decide these things. But it's like he is letting go of like that way of doing things, because the Force is at work. But anyway, you two both are like, I'm like in a way into fashion, right? Because Steele, you've got a store, right? Shore store. And Zoe, you do cosplay.
Yeah.
So what did you think? This is the most fashion forward Star Wars outing to date, right?
Yeah, I think this is some of my favorite costume work as far as like the extravagance of it, especially since Trisha Baker's work in the prequels, I think.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, because it's crazy to think that Gorman style exists in a universe that also has like Naboobian style, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
that's really like baroque and intense and like spangly. And the Gore have this, like, let's be honest, impeccable taste. And they speak space French. It's fantastic.
I was really impressed when they had this entire group of people singing this made up song in a made up language. Just like impressed that they got everyone to learn that. I can barely learn real songs. The
And they
language
were
really speak.
they were doing it live on the set.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they came up with a fake French language, but they're like, no, it's still French, but like mix up the words, and it's so perfect. Like I was getting like weird echoes of the Olympics opening ceremony, where you're like, now that is a national anthem. That is the one, right? Like they've got the good one,
Yeah.
and like that was the same vibe I got. Because like, let's be honest, Steele, I don't know. I don't even know what Australia's anthem is, but ours sucks. It's like one of the worst. It's really bad. The Marseillaise is way better, and the Gore anthem is even better than that.
Gore's got a good one.
And they have like cafes. It's so cool. Like,
oh my God, it did when they were hanging out in the cafes. It did make me really hungry because
I think it was the actress for Cinta, Verada Sethu. She posted pictures of the food that they had in the cafes, and it looked really good. It was either her or Faye Marseille.
well, it just reminded me of like the cafes in Paris, and they had this one thing with like melted cheese, and it was just they had a really unique way to melt cheese over there, and I salute them for it. But
they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
I digress. What did you think about Sam brings up that he thought that the way Cinta was killed was sort of like a waste of a character. But like I think in its defense, it was to show how if they're unorganized, what can happen.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, I think that the death worked on that level. I think the bigger bummer for me was that I feel like we didn't get to explore her at all and who she was before her death. Like Brasso in the 3 episodes leading up to his death, he's there a lot. He's really present. We see these connections he's made with all these people. Versus I feel like for Cinta, she was, she appeared very, very briefly at the very end of episode 3. And then she has, those cute little reunion scenes with Vel. And then in this mission, then that's it. We don't really get to explore her and who she is outside of Vel really too much. Just like kind of references to it. And I think, so it's like, in that sense, I think a little disappointing. I think it's also worth noting that Andor, and I'm not the first or far from the only person to talk about this, and probably not the person to listen to about this. But Andor, one of the major criticisms I've seen of Andor is a bit of a colorism problem, where like Black characters get killed pretty quickly when they're introduced. And I think Cinta was as some people put it, she was the last character in the show that wouldn't pass the paper bag test, as they say, and she gets kind of killed that way. And I in a vacuum, I think it worked, but I also understand it kind of sucking for people who were, loved Andor for the representation it was giving. But then we reached the end of the show, and it's an essentially all white cast outside of Cassian and Bix, who left in episode 9.
Yeah, it's I think that's something that should be looked at, like when you're like writing the show. But I guess it's from my perspective, it's not something that like on first watch that, especially in this show, that I picked up on.
Yeah,
but
I think it's hard because, like I said, like in a vacuum, like it's fine. I think in the real world, especially, I think Verada Sethu would be the first like brown woman to have a really major role in Star Wars. I think I'm trying to think of who else, at least in live action. I don't think there is.
Oh, there was
I don't think there is anyone else. Well,
Jaina.
there was Jaina. In Obi-Wan?
No. In The Rise of Skywalker. Wasn't that her name?
Oh, Jana. Yeah, Jana.
Yeah.
But like, so I think I understand it like that.
But she was hardly in depth. Like it was like
and
it was barely in the movie.
Challenge.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a, I don't know. I think I'm also not the person to listen to about this.
Yeah.
Clearly. So, but it's hard because like I also think part of that to me comes from that original kind of skeleton this show had of the 5 seasons, right? I think there's a world where we got 5 seasons and Cinta did get to be this very whole character, have this whole arc, not just about Vel, but herself and who she is. And then she dies and it feels a bit more earned versus just because of the way they structured this season. We just didn't have time for that.
Yeah. I mean, we did get, like, they did make the choice to have Vel and Cinta kiss and like actually have it be on screen for longer than like half a second. So
yeah,
which is not like it shouldn't be, but it is still like a relatively, unusual thing to see done, just on matter of factly and not to be exploiting anything. So it's like, it is, we should give the show some credit for that, at least, I think, as well. But yeah, I mean, part of the problem is like once you're dealing with like a legacy property or whatever you want to call it, like Star Wars, is like you're in some senses like trapped by casting decisions that were made like way back before people were really thinking about this stuff. And so it's like, well, Mon Mothma's white because all the actors they used were white. I mean, because they were just getting the people who were available in London, and they weren't aware of the kind of like bias that was going into their selections. So if you have a character like Vel, who's like a relative of Mon Mothma, it's like, I mean, realistically that you could, be adopted or whatever, but you're raising more questions if they don't look kind of like Mon Mothma. And that's, when people say like, oh, they're going overboard with this stuff, like diversity casting and stuff, just remember, like, there's a disadvantage they're working with as well. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Sorry, my phone died there.
That's okay.
But I switched. But I think there's so many things that Andor in that respect does so much better than some other Star Wars shows where there is a lot more diversity. And I don't want to like discredit that, but I think it's also a discussion worth having about, some of the ways where I think.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like I was pushing back. No. I was more like trying to build on what you said.
I totally agree. Again, I don't think I'm the person to listen to about that, so I don't want to like really get into it because I think there are people much more
but
educated than I am.
It's good to mention it.
Ironically, you're saying I don't think I'm the person to listen to about it, and your microphone cut out at the same time. So
it was my computer telling me to stop.
Yeah. I guess just a few of the wrap ups of like pretty gnarly, but sort of like I like fulfilling or fascinating was the Major Partagaz, like the way he went, like, and just with like then that other guy outside, just like it's sort of like even when Krennic talked to him, it was just like, yeah, sorry, man, you're done. Like that's just a system that we're like, they were sort of like friends, but he was like, I can't protect you or whatever. And as he sort of like, in retrospect, like watching it again, it was like, he's sort of like saying he knows he's never seen this guy ever again.
Right. That's what's so creepy about it is like, he's talking to the guy and you're like, okay, so what are they really saying? You get the impression that there's more being discussed here than what they're saying. And then the guy leaves, and when he gives the signal to the stormtroopers not to go in, right? Like, no, this is fine. It's like, no, you know what this guy's gonna do. Like, you've been through this before, because this is how the Empire works, right? And I think that's another thing the show does really good, is just explaining why the Empire will lose. It's like, it's not just like the good guys are right and right always wins. It's also that like this kind of evil is inefficient and is self-defeating, which is, you know, a good thing to remember these days.
I'll cling to that late at night. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, if a saying only made it so, to quote the great CGI Tarkin.
And I loved the quashing of the beef with Val and Claire. Just like,
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
man.
such a sweet character moment for both of them. It's so good. I think Clay especially, like, that was like, she was always like clear, like had puffy eyes or was like teary for so much of the last couple episodes, but that was the first time we see her, you know, in front of another character openly like sobbing, was when Vel shows her that kindness and gives her the poncho. It was so good.
I didn't notice that. That's a good
and
point.
I loved how sweet that was, and you know, and considering how hostile they had been before, I think Vel was so good to her. And then I didn't notice it, someone else pointed out, but the last scene of Clea when she's looking out onto Yavin, the background is the same hut that Vel and Mon Mothma were living in, which I thought was cute also.
oh.
And Clea's going to still be around, right? Because she doesn't die. So she's still out there somewhere.
Yeah. I was wondering how many of these characters might have gone to Scarif when Cassian rounded everyone up. Like if Willman maybe, or Vel maybe went to Scarif. I hope they didn't. I would have liked them to not have.
They didn't, because
Clea wouldn't have.
You see them all. Like, they're all there in the group.
Yeah, but like Vel's short. She could be behind like one of the taller guys. You know, you just don't see her.
Why are you trying to kill? why are you trying to kill her off?
I don't want to. I hope she wasn't. I was just saying, like, I wonder, because it would be something she would do.
Steele, is anyone truly dead in Star Wars anymore?
I hope so.
Or if you think about it on the other side, they're all dead because it was a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago.
Oh, true.
Oh. That's a bit real for me.
She did it again.
Yeah. And I do like how they worked in the like Val said, in a totally different way, that I have friends everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice little loop back.
It was good for Val's character too. Like, I think that at first, like, her character seemed to be like, it was only like she was anxious about Cinta. But once you got that whole scene, it's like, okay, this is somebody who's like rebuilding after that and is like trying to, like, you know, is really trying to like be a positive influence in the world after, like, kind of in honor of the love of her life, I guess. It's so cool. Like, I just love how you can imagine the story she has after this, before she's killed on Echo Base or something, you know, like whatever.
I do wonder if, because and this is learned secondhand, but apparently in Legends, Mon Mothma had a daughter Leda, but she also had a son. I don't remember his name, but her son died on Echo Base. He was killed by Vader. So hopefully, I hope they don't. I would not like them to, but I wonder if they would. If someone, not Tony Gilroy, but if someone somewhere really wants to call back to that, they'd be like, let's just kill her cousin on Echo Base instead. There's
a lot of Legend stuff that shows up, probably because of Pablo. So I don't know.
I like
feels thrilled by the prospect.
Another amusing thing that Tony Gilroy said that, you know, he had to go and show Claire and Luthen's backstory so no one else could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
What a master chessman he is.
I mean, he also played the move like it was in the comics, then it didn't happen. Checkmate. Because this, I mean, would you
Rest in peace,
seriously like?
Cassian and K2SO special.
Yeah, I'm sure that was great for what it was, but would you? Is it really worth retaining that if it costs you this?
No.
It kind of brings us full circle to what Steele was saying at the beginning of the episode. It's like I don't know that their adherence to continuity is always a good thing, because sometimes you're just stuck with a bad first draft, or a lesser than what you could have. But on the other hand, will people be invested if they think everything can change at any moment?
Well, if you go back to Star Wars Marvel comic #1, and in it, Darth Vader faces Luke Skywalker, lightsabers ignited. So let's ignore everything that happens in the comics. You've set the precedent.
Look, they've done it in book. I think King Tom can tell us sometime. I'm pretty sure they did it to the books first. But I don't think that's a problem. Like, they've always been doing that to the ancillary materials, and it's always been fine. Like, it's better to have a good story on the screen, and eventually, like, if nobody cares about it, it'll go away. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay, because the comics are dead to me.
I like how you just like I'm throwing out, just like stretching out the olive branch, and you just swat it away, Steele.
No, they really they've gone too far. They've gone too far. And I thought it was cool to like wrap it up, because like some people, one of their complaints of the show was, what happened to the sister, which I sort of thought that, that thread did get sort of put away in the first season, but to go back with the dream of her just as a bookend to how the show started.
Mm-hmm. I also think it provides such a through line for Cassian, where he couldn't save his sister, so he saves everyone else, right? He goes back to save Zell. He goes to save Jin,
That was sick.
And he tries to spare Jin later on in Rogue One. So like because he wants them to call off the attack and everything. He doesn't shoot her dad in front of her and stuff like that.
And then on Scarif, he saves Jin using Bix's blaster to kill Krennic. Not kill Krennic, shoot Krennic.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that either.
I didn't catch it first spot. Someone pointed out, but the blaster Bix has in episodes 4 through 6 are the same one he uses to shoot Krennic in Rogue One.
Steele, the Krennic performances in this show.
Oh, we haven't really talked about Mendo much, but
yeah, the best Mendo Star Wars we've gotten to date, I think it might be. Oh, his interrogation of Deidre was terrifying.
He was just on a tear. He was out of control. Like, in the interviews, he's sort of saying that, he's more flamboyant because it's before, like, he's on the way up. Like, everything's coming up Krennic.
Yeah, he hasn't been to the lava castle yet.
Yeah, he hasn't like that. He hasn't had
yelled at by Tarkin.
Yeah, he hasn't had it all taken away from him. But he was just loose out there. I did, in one of those Gilroy podcasts, he did mention, like, just flippantly mention, like, that Ben Mendelsohn did cost a lot of money. And I was just like, yeah, get it.
Yeah, get paid.
Get that bag, buddy. Get it. But what's Denise, who plays Dedra, she commented that, like, Mendo improv'd the finger on the head thing, and it's just,
of course,
it's so, I don't know, there's something about it that's so, like, someone pressing down on my head like that with one finger.
Oh, I felt it when I saw it. I felt it.
It would just
that
be
was
so,
how good it was.
Like oppressive. Like the fact that you can't react to it. Oh,
what Mendo does best is play characters who love it when they're terrifying somebody, right? Like when they're just scaring the bejesus out of somebody and they have them at their mercy and they can just do whatever crazy, like you said, flamboyant thing that they want because Deidre's at his mercy. He can just like dig in. Like he loves this. He loves just taking people apart in the way that she enjoyed taking apart Cyril's mom. And it's kind of, and is there a more satisfying image in Star Wars than Deidre in that cell at the very end?
oh,
It's pretty good.
That was chef's kiss. Perfect. Like the best.
It's such an amazing mix of emotions because you're like, you feel bad this person's crying in prison, but then you're like, yeah, but.
And you know, she's like spending the next like 8 months, like screwing in like camshafts on like Death Star trash compactor apparatus. And then like before like Krennic is like, you know what, we're going to sink that prison. They know too much. And then she's gone. And it's like, that's where all the people she, messed with ended up. It's just disappearing forever.
If she is working on Death Star parts though, then she does get to get her lick back because she helped build what killed Krennic. So there's a weird.
Oh, wow.
Well, she's working on Death Star too at this point. They're all.
Yeah, that's true.
we gotta keep this assembly line moving.
The that was such an immaculate twist. Like,
but they set it up so well because they established like the only way to get ahead in this world is to just be doing the stuff you're not supposed to be doing. It just breeds lawlessness. And like in the shock on her face, like when she gets like arrested and everything, it's like, but I did everything. I did what we do. It's like she seems like it just like the rug was just pulled out from under. It's like, I did the stuff. Why are you doing this to me? We all do this.
And it was her own little assistant.
Yeah, because that's how the way it always works. You like you're training the person who replaces you. Oh man. God, I love this show. So good.
Well, what about the guy that replaced her and got used as a human shield for someone that probably didn't even need a shield?
Yeah. I love that because it's just like, that's what, see, if you're going to have droids that fight, like they should act like droids. Like, no, they don't say ouch or something, when they get hurt. Like they like use people as tools because they don't care. I don't know. Anyway, I love it, but I can't. It's getting pretty late for me, Steele. I can't.
We're at the end of the episode, Robbo.
Oh, thank goodness, because I could talk about Andor forever.
Bale says, "May the Force be with you, Captain." The last lines he'll ever speak in Star Wars.
Well, he speaks in Rogue One.
Oh, he does too. Damn it!
How do you know in original Star Wars he's not going like and then he's just like gone? But like,
well, I haven't seen that.
It's one of the millions of voices crying out in terror that were suddenly silenced.
Ah, yeah.
He does speak in the book from a certain point of view. Right before the Death Star blows up Alderaan, they see the light up in the sky. It's the story in the book.
You think he's saying like
it's Bale and
he's remembering when he said tear the shit out of this place? It's like, yeah, I said that.
Probably.
Life well lived.
I can't believe I messed up. Rogue One comes between Andor and Star Wars.
It's kind of the point.
Yeah, I guess. In retrospect, fine. Alrighty. Well, where does this rate in your Star Wars television and then overall with animated? Where does it rank, Zoe? I know the animated would.
It's my favorite live action, easy. I think, I don't know. Rebels is just so special to me. It's hard to be a bit objective about it.
I'm just being mean throwing it in. Sorry.
I know. I think, I don't know. Rebels, as much as I love Andor, I think Rebels does find the whimsical parts of Star Wars a little more. I think it'll always have that special place in my heart. So I think I just have to like legally put Rebels first, but it's very close.
How about you, Robbo?
I don't know. Like I kind of agree on a level. I do feel like I do prefer my Star Wars to be like at 1977 baseline, like just, a little bit of wackiness, a little bit of silliness. But I don't know. I mean, I can't deny how good it was. Yeah, I mean, Andor as a series, I would say is my favorite series at this point. However, I also do love Mando season 1. And compared to everything, I don't know, like I can't do that. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely a good one, but you know, I don't know. I'm just still in the kind of like appreciating it honeymoon phase right now. It's hard to even compare. Where does it end up with you, Steele?
Oh, it's number 1.
Okay.
Is it above the originals?
What films?
Yeah.
Oh
Is
no,
it
that's
above Return of the Jedi? Yeah.
that's a total. Well, it's I definitely say it's the best.
Well,
But,
as
but
far as Mon Mothma performances, does it top Many Bothans Died?
yeah, probably.
Yeah, this is true.
But going, I would say, at the No Way Out episode was the greatest television episode watching experience ever. I feel like it was good. And James is asking about the Mando season 2 finale. Like that was an epic experience for the sugar rush, but then the ball dropping after that is just like it's just such a disappointment.
I don't know. You can't hold that again. Like
I can.
Well, I like The Last Jedi is it's like my third favorite of the Star Wars movies, and that didn't get followed up on, but it still is as good as it is, in my opinion. That's the only thing that I was more confused by at the end of it. It's like, I don't know what I think about this. Whereas with Andor, it did feel like, okay, yeah, this is just really good all the way through. And, but yeah, I need both now. Now I just need more of everything.
Yeah, like the actual experience of watching the Mando one was like, it was incredible. It was very emotional and stuff. But I think the ball dropping, like, because it was sort of like also like one of the most emotional parts of it was like Mandalorian and Grogu are going to be separated. And it's like, what? I can't even, it was like we're talking about with the wrestling thing. It's just like, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. And it's just like, well, it's not like anything because they just went bloop, bloop, and fixed it. So that's how I find it different. Wait, The Last Skywalker.
What?
No. I think he said The Last Jedi. There is no film called The Last Skywalker.
The Last Skywalker.
The chat. I shouldn't be looking at the chat, but or I shouldn't be like looking at it and then half not looking at it. This could be the highest point for Star Wars.
No.
This is I know. No. It's yes. This could be the apex. No. But I'm sure the Mandalorian and Grogu with Stinky the Hutt coming back will
Steele. Don't do it. I need to go. You're killing me.
Robbo, where can the good people of the internet find you?
At the moment, nowhere. I'm retired. No, I'm going to be starting a new show soon, but I'm not ready to commit to it openly. So, but it will not be about Star Wars. It will not be about stupid old video games. It will be about anything but those two topics.
All right. Well, to that I say,
I'm super excited to see what you and your team created.
Yeah, me too, man. I really want to know what it will be. Thanks.
What a brilliant drop that was. Come on.
That was good.
Zoe.
You can find my blog and podcast at starwarsgeekgirl.com and all of your preferred podcasting platforms, Twitter, Instagram, at SWGeekGirl, Facebook Star Wars Geek Girl. If you want just me, I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky at Azoica and Instagram, TikTok at Spectre5.
Excellent. Oh, you can follow us at Steele Wars on all the things. And on Blue Sky, I'm not even sure I've even plugged Blue Sky ever, but it's a fine platform. Fun for the whole family, I've found. If you're watching on the YouTube, do the like and subscribe and write a little comment about what you thought. Write a nice little comment on iTunes or just don't. Whatever you want to do. Doesn't bother me. Well, it does a little bit, but I'm not going to hang on to it after this long podcasting. I'm just used to it. But clearly this episode's gone on
long enough.
So may that force be with you. Play. Why won't it play? There we go. Oh, we forgot to mention that little rascal Perrin hooking up with his
With his daughter's mother-in-law. We also didn't talk about the old lady Clea pushes around.
Yeah, I loved.
Loved
I
her.
love that character.
Where's her spinoff?
She's she's the same species as like one of those dudes who's in the bleachers at the pod race, right? Like when the guy with like the giant like fin head is one of my favorite alien designs.
Oh, I thought it was E.T.'s grandma.
Oh, it could be. I
It
mean,
could be there.
is
E.T. is in Star Wars.
That's right.
I just hope she gets better. She's in hospital for a reason. We shouldn't make light of that. All right.
You know what? She
Maybe
seems like she's
getting
making
a
the
blood
most
test.
of it.
You know, she could just be getting like a blood test or something. Not major surgery.
Fingers crossed. I just hope she's got blood. We don't know.
In